Despite being the best-selling vehicle in the USA for the past 42 consecutive years, Ford's iconic F-150 truck model range continues to be plagued with issues that include excessive engine oil consumption, recurring transmission failures from as low as 35,000 miles, serious electrical system failures, and poor build quality on some trim levels. Moreover, poor value for money and even poor fuel consumption also seem like excellent reasons not to buy a Ford F-150 truck. Stay with us as we count down 7 reasons why you should avoid Ford F-150. Number 7. Unreliable EcoBoost engines. Viewers who have been following Ford's relentless battles against premature timing chain wear and who have steadfastly refused to invest in Ford products for this very reason will no doubt not be surprised to learn that the 3.5-liter EcoBoost engine in Ford F-150 trucks has become notorious for the high rate of timing chain failures on these engines. However, if you are unaware of the issue of premature timing chain failures on Ford engines, including 3.5-liter EcoBoost engines, the first sign of timing chain problems will be an annoying rattling noise after a cold engine start. This rattling noise will grow progressively worse until eventually you start getting an illuminated warning light on the dashboard that indicates correlation or phasing problems between the camshafts or the camshafts and the crankshaft. So in practice, if you are a first-time owner of a Ford F-150 truck with a 3.5-liter EcoBoost engine, you should know that there is nothing you can do to prevent the degradation of the timing chain in your engine. The root cause of premature timing chain failure in Ford engines, including the 3.5-liter EcoBoost engine, is an unavoidable consequence of direct fuel injection technology, which is that the combustion process in affected engines creates fine-grained but extremely abrasive carbon particles that are transported throughout the engine by the circulating engine oil. The first casualty is usually the timing chain and its associated components. But aggressive driving usually also causes greatly accelerated mechanical wear of piston rings and cylinder walls, and usually in fairly short order after the onset of timing chain-related noises. Moreover, excessively worn piston rings cause high oil consumption, damaged turbochargers, and recurring catalytic converter failures, among other issues. It might be worth mentioning that Ford-approved engine oil formulations contain high levels of additives that are designed to protect timing chains against premature wear. Sadly, however, the high levels of protective oil additives do not seem to have any discernible positive effects on the durability of the timing chains in 3.5-liter EcoBoost engines in Ford F-150 trucks under real-world driving conditions. Number 6. Serious reliability concerns. Although the most, if not all, of the critical reliability issues that beset Ford F-150 trucks in the early to mid-2000s have been resolved by dint of discontinuing problematic engines and transmissions, it turns out that Ford F-150 trucks built over the past few years still suffer from extensive electrical system failures that often occur without any warning. In many cases, water entering electrical connectors causes these kinds of failures. And while this can be resolved by replacing defective or leaking connectors, the root causes of many other instances of complete electrical system failure have resisted all attempts at diagnosing the problem. More concerning, though, is the persistent intermittent failures of electric power steering systems, which, when they happen, severely reduces the level of control a driver has over the vehicle. This obviously poses a serious safety risk, not only for an affected truck's occupants, but also for other road users in the affected truck's immediate vicinity. Suddenly, losing full directional control of a large, full-sized Ford F-150 pickup truck is a terrifying experience, even when it happens at low road speeds. But if it happens at highway speeds in heavy traffic, the outcome will almost certainly be the most frightening experience any driver could ever go through. Number 5. Persistent drivability issues. Drivability problems can take many forms and have multiple causes. But in the case of the 3.5-liter EcoBoost engines in F-150 trucks, the issue involves persistent, unexplained random misfires on multiple cylinders. One other major concern involves sudden and unexpected engine stalling that mostly occurs at low to moderate engine speeds. In both cases, the problem is more prevalent in wet or humid ambient atmospheric conditions. and although it might be tempting to suspect the intrusion of water or moisture into electrical connectors, the fact is that in most, if not all cases, replacing engine wiring harnesses with OEM parts does nothing to resolve the problem. However, it must be said that many Ford F-150 trucks never experience any kind of electrical failures throughout their useful lives. But then again, there are no guarantees that the Ford F-150 truck you are planning on buying will not suffer persistent electrical system failures throughout its useful life. In our view, the best way to avoid this kind of will it fail or won't it fail conundrum is to avoid buying a Ford F-150 truck altogether. Number 4. Persistent coolant and water leaks. Many owners of Ford F-150 trucks with 3.5-liter EcoBoost engines have reported persistent coolant leaks from the cooling system's overflow or expansion tank. In fact, this is arguably the most common complaint about F-150 trucks built over the past few years. Coolant leaks, and especially persistent coolant leaks, are always a serious concern because coolant leaks are the leading cause of fatal engine overheating. At first glance, this might sound like a self-evident truth, but the fact is that no vehicle, particularly not best-selling trucks, such as Ford's F-150 models, should leave the factory with built-in coolant leaks. While we are on the topic of leaks, we might mention that the rear windows on many Ford F-150 trucks allow water to enter the passenger cabin when it rains. In many cases, these leaks may not be visible because they are hidden behind trim panels, so the first indication you might have that your F-150 is leaking might be when you notice mold growing on the seats and other interior surfaces. This will usually, though not always, be accompanied by a musty odor in the truck, or worse, by electrical failures caused by corrosion on wiring that runs under the carpets and seats. We must state, though, that not all Ford F-150 models are afflicted by water leaks. But with that said, you need to keep in mind that once you notice mold inside your truck, you may not be able to save the truck's interior. Number 3. Lack of internal storage space. Although the interiors of all trim levels offer generous head and legroom for passengers, the serious lack of internal storage spaces on all trim levels in older model ranges is more than a mere inconvenience. It is downright annoying if you cannot find room to safely and securely stow items like laptops, cameras, overnight bags, and the like. Unlike most of its direct competitors that offer a wealth of storage spaces, including secure underfloor spaces, with some Ford F-150 trucks, you have no choice but to take your valuables with you every time you leave the vehicle. Alternatively, you can leave your valuables in the truck and run the risk of being relieved of your possessions while you are attending to business or other matters. One would have thought that with the F-150 truck being a full-size pickup, it would have been a relatively easy matter for Ford to devise at least a few safe and convenient storage spaces in the cabin. But sadly, that turned out not to be the case. Number 2. Poor fuel economy. Although Ford F-150 trucks with 2.7-liter V6 engines deliver 20 miles per gallon in city driving and 25 miles per gallon at highway speeds, the twin-turbocharged 3.5-liter EcoBoost engine delivers a disappointing 18 miles per gallon in city driving and 24 miles per gallon at highway speeds. Even if one considers that F-150s are full-size trucks and are therefore bound to deliver poor gas mileage, a figure of 24 miles per gallon at highway speeds rather defeats the purpose of having an EcoBoost engine in the first place, since these engines are purported to offer superior fuel consumption figures as compared to directly comparable engines in competing truck brands. Number 1. Questionable value for money. Pricing for the base XL model in the latest Ford F-150 range starts at $39,345 and rises to a whopping $76,800 for the top-of-the-line Platinum model, depending on the options chosen and other dealer charges in both cases. Die-hard fans of the Ford F-150 might argue that these eye-watering prices are offset to some extent by the large variety of body styles, bed lengths, and creature comforts that have made the F-150 trucks the best-selling vehicle in the USA for several decades. The fact is that the F-150 lags behind its direct competitors in some key areas. For example, the F-150's ride quality in even the higher trim levels lags noticeably behind that of the Dodge Ram, whose ride quality has been described as buttery. In addition, the Super Cruise system in the Chevy Silverado allows for hands-free driving while towing, while Ford's Blue Cruise system does not offer this functionality. However, we should point out that the balance of power in the full-size truck segment will continually shift between Ford, Dodge, and Chevrolet. But until Ford comes out on top again, we must question the economic wisdom of paying a premium price for a Ford F-150 truck that does not offer the same or similar premium features its competitors offer.